You are about to listen to the Extraterrestrials podcast.
This is the biggest thing since the Zapruder film.
So many questions.
I don't have any answers.
But please
don't stop listening
To the Extraterrestrials podcast.
Hello.
What the heck? What? Welcome to the now I lost my place in my head script that I had so well prepared. Welcome to the episode 1 of season 5
Of
Neverdaily podcast. We can confidently call this the Neverdaily podcast because as of this recording, they would have heard a slightly
Extraterrestrials.
I know, they would have heard a slightly revised intro that says Neverdaily instead of Extraterrestrials. So we're 100% Neverdaily now.
Yeah, it turns out when you name a podcast a made-up word,
Yeah, weird. Huh?
that's also hard to spell. That also is close to another word that has a million other podcasts. So I would say extraterrestrials. There's probably 9 million podcasts made by dudes that live in bunkers. It was just the perfect storm for never being able to find a podcast, which I feel like we talked about in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you were like, but the wordplay is so funny. So we need to weigh what's more important.
Well, I had already purchased the domain name.
Oh,
so
that was.
I felt kind
And
of
how much was it?
$11.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, though, you can go to neverdaily.com because guess who owns neverdaily.com? I do. How is it that we could have 30 years of domain registration and no one thought of buying neverdaily.com? How is that? How is that possible? I own it. That's pretty cool, I think.
Neverdaily.com?
Yeah. Neverdaily.com. I haven't done anything.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done anything with it yet. But the Neverdaily podcast is where we're at. And it's one word, Neverdaily. But if you're listening to this, you don't need to really find us because you're here. So cover art's fun, though. I did the cover art recently. Actually, I don't want to brag, but I got some compliments from the artificial intelligence community because of the cover art, because the whole cover art was created using AI. I needed to cast a 4K. Here was the problem: is how do you in one image describe a show that covers everything that we've covered and will cover on the show? It's hard. It's very hard in one image. So that if people read the Neverdaily podcast on the cover art, but then looked at the image, they would, because the Neverdaily podcast could be about anything. It could be a banking show, it could be a show about Hep C. It could be anything. And so the image really had to, so I put an image of astronaut, a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, a pharaoh, and an alien. And I thought that pretty much covers it. Earth, wind, fire, Yeah.
Did you say you got a lot of positive comments from the AI community?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Was that just other AI going, that's a good job, Sam?
Yes.
Good
it was
job.
Basically.
And then you, being you, how highly you regard AI, you're like, you're right, AI. That is a good, you put more value in that than an actual person giving you compliments.
Well, it's easier to get them because you can prompt the AI by saying, if you had to give me a compliment on the following picture,
Write a
how
one
would you write
paragraph
it?
compliment.
And then go rate, review my podcast 4,000 times, please. Also, though, I'm gonna.
It'd be funny
I
if it
just
still
need-
gave you 1 star.
It could.
Called
the
you
other day-
racist.
Problematic, right wing problematic views. Yeah, something like that. The other day on our other podcast, Kent's podcast called True Crime Kent. If you haven't listened to it, Kent did something pretty amazing, and I'm mad about it. At the beginning, like we were just jibber jabbering at the beginning before we were even recording, and I believe Jess said something like, "We can't figure out how to push TCK." No? How did it go, Jess? How did it go?
I said you have to stop being afraid to ask for support
Yeah.
because that's the only way we're going to be able to grow.
Yeah, because if you've listened to Kent, you can kind of tell he's not a shameless plugger like I am. And also it's not befitting of his brand or his personality to do so, but he's a soldier. And so here's what happened. Jess is like, you need to you need to not be afraid to ask. And Kent's like, well, it kind of went like this. What we couldn't see was as Kent is just not saying anything and staring at Jess as she talks, his hands were doing this. We couldn't see it though, and also I don't know if anyone knows, Kent types at like 200 words per minute because he learned how to type using a horror slasher video game. And I am so jealous of his typing skills. Anyway, as Jess is talking, he's just locked on her eyes and he's like, okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for that feedback. Thank you.
By the way, I'm the only person that sounds like this and can type that fast. That's true.
It makes me think you like work for the CIA or something, like you're a plant.
Your ability to follow directions is impeccable. Like,
Thanks, government.
So anyway, we start the show. We start the TCK episode, and out of nowhere, not on the script or anywhere, Kent brings this like, I don't know, Brigadoon level like treatise to the podcast where he's like, look, before we start, I need to say, and he just says this, he has this like monologue that he does, which I kind of heard the national anthem playing behind him when he was doing it. It was so good. But like he said said, if you like this podcast, help me be a problem. And I was like, oh, like in years of like sometimes it takes a whole, it takes months and months to come up with a help me be a 5-word sentence. But you could, as he said it, and then as we posted the episode public, throughout the day, I could hear the heartstrings plucking from around the world of people that were like, that resonates with me. And before you know it, we had like people taking the video, making videos of the audio, posting it on TikTok. We've gotten Reddit posts. We've got I can't pay to get that kind of marketing or pull it out of my own brain. And he does it like Jess could have said, you know what, Kent, you need to eat more corn. And like, he's like, okay, goes and eats corn. And then like, because he ate corn, now he turns into a bodybuilder. That's how this went. It was weird. But I feel like, would it be effective or is the magic gone? Like, could you do one of those for Neverdaily, like right now?
Could I do one?
Yeah, could you do one? Would that be, are we forcing it if I asked you to?
like I said before we get started, moderation.
Dang it. So I'm forcing an issue. It's not going to happen. Is that what?
Give me 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'll turn the ship around.
I was just like, how in the world? It was so magical what you did.
How long did you go to marketing school?
Oh, gosh, I have a degree in it.
I worked at Hardee's.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know how you did it. It was pretty cool,
I was
though.
shooting zombies with a keyboard.
Oh, anyway. So
I did just recently order well, let me show you. You were
this
talking
is
about
where podcasts get really cool, is when somebody says, let me show you.
I'm very excited about this.
What is that? Zoom in. Enhance.
Where does the... Oh, there we go. Just ordered that, so pretty stoked about that.
What is that?
That's The Topping of the Dead, the game that taught me how to top.
It's the real one?
Yeah, but it's sealed and it's been rated by the video game commission or whatever, so it's never been opened.
Really?
And it's in a case,
No.
like a baseball card. See how it's got a rating in the corner?
Yeah. So, are you going to open it?
No. But, I mean, that game had a big effect on my life.
Yeah, it did. Well, it's benefited us.
So, I mean, I went from a hunt and pecker. Learned that from a girl I dated. But I went from a hunt and pecker, which is what my old computer applications teacher in middle school called it. You can't be hunting and pecking. So he made these like shelves that went over the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't, and they were painted black, and you couldn't see the keyboard.
Oh.
But whenever he wasn't looking, I would pull the thing back and then and he tried his best to teach us how to type, and we all tried to circumnavigate. But this game took everything that he tried for an entire year of schooling and had me typing in 2 weeks because of this video game. So you can't tell me video games are useless.
No, well, actually, after you told me about that, I thought, oh, I should let Sam 2.0 know about it, because here's how our school system, like, I didn't homeschool him his whole life. He went through elementary school. At one point, they came to me and they're like, yeah, he's not really great at writing, so we're just going to focus on typing for him. Yeah. I'm like, oh, wait, so you're not going to teach him how to write at all? And they were like, nah. I was like, well, what about cursive? Like, what about, aren't there things you could help?
I don't think they teach cursive at all.
No, yeah. Anymore. They said, no, we don't teach cursive anymore either. I was like, oh no, because, oh no.
But when was the last time you wrote in cursive?
Well, I signed my name in cursive. I mean.
Okay, but what is a reason that you would ever need to write in cursive?
I'll tell you why. If I had to create a secret code message to send to you
to
or somebody else,
Gen Z,
yeah, if I didn't want them to be able to read it, I would just literally write it in cursive, and they'd be like, I don't know how to read this hieroglyphics.
That's how millennials take over the world again, is through cursive language. By writing it in the sky. That's our bat signal.
Exactly.
Gen Z's looking up like, what are those hieroglyphics in the sky?
You would see it coming.
But even we still don't know how to do the Z.
It's like Rome, how they didn't know how to use a U, so they made V's everywhere. And we just don't know how to use a Z, so we use like a 2. Oh, man.
And I'll be honest, I was taught cursive in school, but some of the letters, I just kind of went with what I felt. Like it was just like, that's an X. Because that was the cool thing about cursive is it could just kind of be whatever you wanted it to be.
I can kind of see you as a kid sitting there and you're kind of hunched over and you're writing your cursive. And then you kind of do this, like you sit back and you're like, flip, 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 like a artistic move. And then your hand goes above your head.
Exactly
like,
what I did. Yeah. It was just like, let's make a few scribbles. They can take the first letter and the last letter and a few of the middle ones and piece together what I'm trying to get my point here. That was the cool thing about cursive. You could kind of like.
What was fun about
through this one letter?
Ken didn't know how to write a K though in cursive, so all of his F words were just really creative. All over the place, all over bathroom walls, and
but for real, unless we go through another civil war where we need to write letters to our loved ones from the front lines, there is no reason to ever use cursive again. Because I feel like
I would agree.
But only you can't write cursive from the front lines of like Kuwait or Ukraine or Russia either. It's only cursive letters from war can be written during a civil war. That's
the Civil War.
Just a civil war.
Only a Civil War.
A civil war where you write where the header is "My dearest Annabelle." I hope this letter finds you happy and healthy. The captain says, "The war shall be to an end by the stroke of midnight of this ending month.
And I pray that my scurvy will outlive the victory."
And the reason you're writing in cursive is because if we're having a civil war, there's no internet.
That's right. Oh, man. I was thinking about that, though. Like, it's really hard to figure out how to... I don't know that we put enough time. Like, a really interesting thing would be to go over to a country like Ukraine where until, I don't know, maybe, 8 minutes ago, they were just another country, just living their lives and everything, and then war, right?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to go and say, okay, so what fell apart first? Sort of the toilet paper COVID conversation kind of thing, like, so what did you guys lose first?
Yep.
What ran out? And they'd be like, oh yeah, this, you wouldn't even believe it, but yeah, nobody could find a pig anywhere. Just like the things that you didn't think that could disappear.
Horseradish. Get that stuff anywhere.
Yeah. Like what do we take for granted that just seems to always be on the shelf or, the grocery store or easy to come by? And it'd be interesting to talk to a couple of these countries who kind of rolled into poverty or, a terrible situation like that and just say, like, what went first? How did you manage if you didn't have X? It'd be interesting to get that because we can all look at third world countries and say, well, they've never had this, so this is what they do. But what if you had it and then suddenly, everything was zeroed out? Ooh, kind of scares me.
What do you think the first thing to go was?
A lot of virginity, probably. Cold nights. Some Ukrainian saying it's just for body heat. Just for body heat.
Was I raised in Ukraine?
I don't know. What do you think would go
just
first?
For body heat.
It's so hard to answer that question because no one would have said, toilet paper. That's I'm putting my money on toilet.
That's what's wild about people. Like, here's the thing. This is the weird thing about toilet paper being the first to go. Like, you can wipe your ass with so many things.
Yeah.
Like, anything can become toilet paper if you're determined.
right.
Not anything can become peroxide.
Or salt. Yeah, exactly. Or antibiotics.
Like a brick can be toilet paper if you want it to be. But try cleansing your wound with a brick.
It's true. Your ring finger can become toilet paper if you really try.
Toothpaste. Try washing your teeth with a brick. Especially if it was the same one you just used as toilet paper.
Oh, man. Well, this is the maiden voyage is just our new brand, Neverdaily podcast. And I feel like I gave you enough time now to come up with a ingenious marketing plea like you did on the fly for TCK. Have you had enough time?
To be honest, I haven't been thinking about it.
All right.
Give me 5. You talk for a minute.
All right. How about, okay. Gosh, I don't have anything to talk about. Oh, actually I do. Okay. I need to tell you what I'm getting better at. It's what I would call it's chicken out ridge. I call it chicken out ridge, shopping cart, willpower. And as somebody with ADHD, here's what I do a lot. I will get like this, I have this kind of like sudden, like a drug comes into me. I'm like, I feel like spending money, but it's like a confident feeling like I should go and see if I can nurture one of my passions through shopping online. And so I'll find myself like on a guitar website or somewhere, and I'll start just adding little things to my cart, like a guitar effects pedal or I might be on a 3D printing website or just Amazon looking at electronics or garage tools or anything. And I start filling my carts. And then I'm getting stronger, people, because what you need to know is I go to my cart and I'm like, $324 for some guitar stuff. That's fine. I can do that. And then I'm like, wait a second. When was the last time you plugged in an electric guitar? And I say, 2 years ago. And then I just walk away from my shopping cart.
Sorry, I fell asleep.
Rather than buying things that
I was supposed to be working on a 911.
Here's how bad it's gotten in the past. Well, not even in the past, just recently, but I'm trying to stop. My son comes back from staying at his mom's for a week and he comes in the garage and there's like one of those those janitorial carts.
Yes.
That they push around. So I have one of those. And it's mostly doom piles most of the time, but my wife comes through and Roombas as she does, and everything gets cleaned off. And so it was totally cleaned off and everything, but he walked through and saw a new pile of boxes. And he came and he's like, you bought more stuff, didn't you? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, you did. I saw it outside. It's in the garage next to the other pile of boxes that you still haven't opened of stuff you bought. So I've got minders now. I've got people that care about me and want to see me stop pretty much everything I'm doing.
So,
yeah.
Writing this marketing thing for 911 calls, this is what I've realized the problem is.
Well, can you do it for Neverdaily or are you doing it for 911 calls?
I was doing it. You told me to do it for 911 calls. That's what you said.
Oh.
That's why I was quiet for like 2 or 3 minutes there. I was trying to think, but I can only do this as me.
All right.
Because it's 911 calls with the operator, it wouldn't make sense if it was like a fucking help us be a fucking problem. Because they're like, wow, that was harsh. That's like
wherever you put 911 calls in your marketing.
Call.
That's pretty good.
You hated it.
No, I like it. I really like.
So full.
No, I got an idea.
Whenever I said that, you look like you had just smelled the rock that you had wiped your ass with. The brick that you...
I didn't hate it. Let's try it again. That's your tagline, right? Then answer the call. So let's try it again and just see if we can get a little more feeling. Hold on. Here we go.
You and your music, you're so obsessed with playing the music, and people are always like, I hate the music. Hate the music.
It's a mastering problem, though. That was...
My
Stop.
dearest Annabelle. Word spreads that the scurvy's tearing through the front lines. I hope this letter finds you happy and healthy. Private Dixon had his left leg taken off by a cannonball a fortnight ago. Looks like the infection has set in. I hope his family has...
My dearest Jethro, I received your letter in haste as I was packing up the children again to move them into another basement. The Wilsons have been so kind to us. Since our children are half black and half white, we felt hiding them away would be the best way for us to survive. We've eaten hard, red wheat and water. The children are happy. I made them toys out of sticks and rocks. I hope to hear from you soon. This rash is getting worse.
My dearest Annabelle, it's good to hear that you and the children are doing fine. Please not forget, honey, that children can also be an alternate source of protein. Oh, how I long to return home and enter your loins. Sincerely, Corporal K. Chunkus.
Dear Corporal, just know that my loins are as moist as this cracked weed and water. I, too, wish for the day where your throbbing member divides my great expanse. I will wait for you. I also have been housing many soldiers lately. It helps to pass the time. I don't remember much, but they say every day is a memory. With longing, this rash may consume me. Yours, Annabelle.
To whom it may concern. Annabelle Chungus. It is with heavy heart that we inform you Corporal K. Chungus was killed November 10th, 1771. At 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, he was hit by a bus. It was not war-related. He was leaving a Dunkin' Donuts. We don't know what he has told you, but there is no war. On his person, we discovered a bag of coin, and he was returning to a brothel. Signed, Colonel Chimwitz, United States Marine Corps.
Colonel Chimwitz, I received your letter in haste. Wheretofore are you hitherto engaged or married of some sort of such? I hope to join our loins, as I have received the tragic news of Corporal Chungus's demise. I await your response. Itchingly, Annabelle.
To whom it may concern. Annabelle. This is Colonel Chimwitz. And this is the 6th letter I've sent requesting you stop writing. That being said, we have more information on your husband, Corporal Chungus. Upon a search of his pockets, we discovered he was never even in the military. He bought the uniform at a pawn shop and used it to give head to people with military fetishes. That being said, on your following letter, please provide your address. Colonel Chidwitz, United States Marine Corps.
Oh, man. It kind of does make me wonder, though, how often that might happen where it's like, a couple letters leak to a wife from another soldier, like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, Judy, that your man is probably my best friend. He has held my hand as I've held another man's hand as it was disconnected from his body, and I want you to know your man is my man as well. And then her man dies, and she goes and writes a letter to that guy, and she's like, so what are you doing? It's got to happen, right?
Probably happens all the time. I mean, but I guess if I'm putting myself in the shoes of the dead guy, I would rather my wife get with somebody that because like if I'm that close to that guy, then I approve of him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I wouldn't be that close to somebody if I knew they were like not good with kids or something. Like they're a good person, so it's like go for it.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Yeah. Well, and it's somebody that you've trusted in a foxhole, which I don't know. I mean, there's part of me that says that one of the biggest mistakes businesses.
If you trusted them in a foxhole, you can trust them in the box hole.
Yeah. But can you? See, that's my other thought is I think one of the biggest mistakes businesses make is when they take like their number one sales guy and turn him into a manager.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's bad. That's a bad move because he's good at sales, not managing people.
Yeah.
So foxhole guy might not be best family guy. I'm not saying it's not, that's there. I'm just saying you shouldn't equate the two together.
No, that's completely true. I knew guys that were built
Different
for war, and that was it.
Yeah. Like
guys that really just were born in the wrong time that should have been just Spartans. I knew guys like that. They didn't know how to act back when we were home but they just weren't comfortable unless they were uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and
that's a rare breed, right there.
It is a rare breed. I was never that guy, but yeah, guys that just, and maybe they just had a death wish. I don't know, but they just lived and breathed for it. So yeah, they wouldn't be good family men. No. You don't want somebody like you die and then that guy becomes your 6-year-old boy's stepdad and he's got him in the front yard throwing thumbtack baseballs at him. I ain't gonna raise no pussy. Got him sweeping the backyard for IEDs that he put back there. There's little toe poppers. Break their ankle at worst. Chill, woman. Ain't gonna kill him. Get up. There was a half a teaspoon of tannerite in that. Get up.
Oh, all right. Well, we're doing 2 episodes today because of the week and the holiday and all that. So we're going to do this one and then another one.
Yeah.
So we're 35 minutes into this one, and I don't think we've talked about anything salient.
Sustenance.
Oh yeah. So let's start as we do. Hey Kent, what did you bring for us
Today I brought a fascinating story of loss and rediscovery. A story of death and life. And I call this story Reincarnation, Fact, or Fucking Not a Fact.
Okay. Sounds BBC quality. Let's hear it. NPR, move over. Wait, can you just say that line again? The title is Fact. What was it? What was it?
Starts out reincarnation, question mark.
Okay. Right.
Fact, or fucking not a fact.
I think you just invented a new segment for the show.
Actually, I should be. It's actually got a question mark at the end. It's reincarnation, fact, or fucking not a fact.
Okay.
Our story starts in the year of our Lord, 1957, on May 5th. And for this, we're going to Hexham, England. And on this tragic day, that's when 2 sisters by the names of Jacqueline and Joanna Pollock are hit by a car while walking to church with one of their friends. And if you're going to be killed, I feel like the best time to be killed is while going to church. For 2 reasons. One, it looks good on Judgment. And 2, you don't have to sit through that service. Now, these 2 sisters that were hit by this car and killed, they're not, like I said, their names were Joanna Pollock and Jacqueline Pollock. Joanna was 11 years old, and Jacqueline was 6 years old. Now, this vehicle does successfully unalive them. And although I don't have the exact make and model of the vehicle that killed them, it wouldn't have taken much. Like I said, they're 6 and 11. Probably even a Prius would have done the job. Now, naturally, this absolutely wrecks the parents. Their names were John and Florence Pollock. And that's understandable, too. Something like this will fucking ruin a Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you got up that morning, you're like, wow, Eggs Benedict. This is swell. And your wife came in and she was like, Jacqueline and Joanna just got hit by a car and they're dead. We're like, I don't even want to finish this Eggs Benedict. God damn it. Thursday ruined. Was it a Prius? The grief-stricken couple, they wanted nothing more than to have them back like you would as parents. I've never lost a child. I can't fucking fathom losing a child. But they just wanted them back, especially John Pollock. Now, he did start telling everybody that they would have another set of twins. Now, what's the likelihood of being able to guess? We're going to have more twins. But he started telling everybody that. And despite the fact that John was Catholic, he told his wife, Florence, not only are we going to have twins, but our original girls, Jacqueline and Joanna, that's how they're going to be reborn.
What?
Yeah, that's what he told her. In October 4th, 1958, 1 year later, his wife Florence gives birth to another set of twins. And that's really the best way to enter the world in your parents' eyes as two people that aren't you. That's a good upbringing, right? You have no individuality. You're just living the life of your dead sister.
Jeez.
What a great way to be brought up. I'm sure that's healthy. No, we don't love you. We love your dead sister. Now, they named these two little girls that are born Jillian and Jennifer. Jennifer, in particular, had a very distinct white line that went across her forehead that was in the exact same spot that Jacqueline, the one that had been killed, had a scar. So she had this line across her. Jacqueline, the one that had been killed, had a scar on her forehead, and Jennifer was born with a line in the same place Jacqueline had the scar. Jennifer also had the same birthmark on her waist as Jacqueline had. Now, that's when they were born, but when the girls were babies, still little, they're not talking or anything or developing opinions. The family, they moved to a place called Whitley Bay, and that was a town on the northeast coast of England. And when they became old enough to talk, they began identifying and requesting toys that had belonged to their dead sisters. Now, I said, I was getting ready to say, why wouldn't you get rid of those toys? But I can understand being a grieving parent, not wanting to. Me and Jack actually just talked about this on the last Brutal, like how you would handle the loss of a child. And for me, I think the hardest part would be having their little things laying around and having to get rid of that stuff one by one. Or, you know, you go to the fridge to get something and there's a little rough drawing in pencil beside the fridge on the wall of a dragon that you were mad at them for when they did it because they drew on the wall and now they're gone. I think that would be the worst part, is coming across those little things, like the little parts of them that they left around the house that didn't mean that much at the time, but now that little dragon is there and pencil beside the fridge.
Oh, stop. I can't. You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me.
There's a nail polish stain on the kitchen table. And you were like, why did you get that nail polish at the time? Like, I told you to be careful with it. But now you don't want to get rid of that nail polish on the kitchen table because, or maybe there's a little Spider-Man Lego that's stuck in the sink. And every time you look down the sink, you see that little Spider-Man Lego. And it's like, I hope that stays there forever because they've got crowns, you know, I can keep going if you want me to.
No, stop.
Stuff like that. So I can understand why they kept the toys, but so yeah, they start pointing out and requesting toys that belong to their dead sisters. The twins also start, when they're old enough to talk, they start having recurring nightmares about being run over by a car. In my research, I couldn't determine if that was a Prius, but they do start having these nightmares about being run over by a car. They even started panicking when seeing certain cars, particular cars, and even said on occasion, quote, "Can you say that car is coming to get us?"
That car's coming to get us.
In the fucking voice, not just your old middle-aged sober man voice, you fucking freak.
Okay. Well, here we go.
It's supposed to be a 4-year-old.
That car's coming to get us.
Not like that. You're panicking. That car's coming to get us. That car's coming to get us.
What the?
Yeah. That's...
What the fudge? The car's coming to get us, bitch.
How's that?
That was it. That was perfect. That was perfect.
She said it. I didn't swear. I didn't swear at all. I just said, what the fuck? Fuck.
That's what they said. Now, these two girls, they even knew details that they had never been told about their sister's death. Jillian, for example, once told Jennifer that she could see blood coming out of her eyes. They even enjoyed the same foods. I mean, but I feel like this one in particular is a bit of a reach. What was it? Dot dogs.
Well, I was gonna say
That's what my girl calls them.
dot dogs.
Dot dogs.
Dude, your daughter kills me.
Chicken
But here's the thing
nuggets.
about that.
That is-
Yeah, I was gonna say,
that's another
like
sign.
whatever you feed your kids is what they're gonna eat too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like these next couple things are a little bit of a reach because kids eat like 4 things. They had the same taste in clothing, also a reach. They're 3 years old. 3-year-olds will walk up and be like, I would like to wear mud boots with a cowboy hat and a turtleneck. No pants.
exactly.
Yeah, they have the same taste in clothing. That's whatever they come across that looks goofy as hell. Like, I can't take you to Walmart in a cowboy hat and a turtleneck. They'll call fucking CPS. The kids love the same songs. Both sets of twins absolutely love the song Straight Outta Vagina by Pussy Riot.
Oh, they didn't.
They did. I made that up. How'd you know?
Seemed extreme.
And I didn't make that song or that band up. That's a real song by a real band. Pussy Riot also has songs such as Punk Prayer, Make America Great Again, I Can't Breathe, Police State, Panic Attack, and Sexist.
Sounds like they're just making
Wonder who
songs
they
off
voted
of
for in the last election.
headlines. Yeah.
At 4 years old, when the twins returned to Hexham, their original homeland, Jennifer and Jillian began pointing out landmarks that were only familiar with Jacqueline and Johanna. The school that they went to, they didn't know of these places before this point, and they were like, that's where they went to school.
All right, I will say that one's kind of creepy.
Now, this is what I think is creepy. You ever seen that movie Baby Geniuses?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where, like, in that movie, like, kids know everything in the world until a certain age, and then they cross over and they forget everything and they just become humans, just normal little people that don't know shit and pick their nose and fart in the bathtub and what not. But when these twins turned 5 years old, the incidents, all these incidents stopped, and they just went on to lead normal lives. It was like their mind got wiped clear of it.
Yeah, that. I don't know. There's some of this
So
sounds
that
possible.
leads me to beg the question up: reincarnation, fact, or fucking not a fact?
Oh, man. I feel like this is some overly hopeful parents with an exciting desire to see their children grow up a certain way. Oh, that sounds very modern. Never mind.
I think this is heartbroken, grief-stricken parents
Yeah.
reaching
I agree.
for proof that their 2 original daughters are not actually gone, while simultaneously, although not intentionally, traumatizing their new daughters.
I think you can see this manifest itself in other places too. Like, there's the age old go on a first date after, your wife of XYZ time ago died, and you can't help but talk about them, know? And so I think, it's all right, here's one. I don't know if I think I've mentioned this before, but when I was on my mission, I had a elder companion that his dad killed himself. And he decided not to go home for the funeral. He decided to stay out, which is, I don't know, in my opinion, I wouldn't have done that. But he stayed out as a missionary in Alabama. And it was a week or more before I was like, I didn't even want to step foot outside the the door because he was such a mess, right? But finally we went out and
Why didn't he want to go home for the funeral?
I think out of principle, because his dad had killed himself. I think he was it was his way of not condoning. I don't know. I mean, I really wasn't in his head, but
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Mormon traditions of funeral, that's where you put the body on a boat and hit it with arrows. Right?
No. We put the body on a boat and pour caffeine on it because that's the faster way to go to hell than burn a body is caffeine.
I get my
much more
rituals
effective.
mixed up, but that's really
It was an odd flex.
not depression is a thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I disagree with his decision. I think that was a poor decision on his part.
Also, it's one of those situations where it's like these other ones we're talking about when like your children die or your spouse died or some trauma. The rest of the world doesn't feel compelled or motivated or enabled or appropriately qualified to tell you how fast to move through grief. But in this case, it was like I was kind of locked up and there's a missionary president. The president's kind of over in the whole mission area of Alabama and everything. He's like, well, take him out and knock some doors. I'm like, that sounds like a bad idea. But we did, after like a week and a half, I was like, this isn't going to go well. And we went out and knocked on some doors and wouldn't you know it? We're talking about, God and stuff like that. We go out and what is, you can guess the first thing out of his mouth was, my dad killed himself. I was like,
that's a good way to.
At the door.
Did it work?
Knock, knock, knock. Hey, we're missionary from the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. We have a message about our Heavenly Father. Would you be interested in hearing it? And they're like, well, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts? And he's like, my dad killed himself.
Now, knowing how uncomfortable I am with feelings and stuff, I would be horrified. Dude. Did you just knock? I was watching Jerry Springer and eating Hot Pockets and having a great Wednesday at noon. And you just knocked on my door so you could cry to me?
Well, okay, so it happened at a door, and I was like, hey, okay, maybe you just, out in my head, I was like, can I just drive this guy to the airport and send him home myself? But we ended up getting into a house and sitting on their couch and we were talking to him and everything. And that's harder to bail because like you're in their house and it's easier from the door, but we were sitting there and he rolled into talking about his recent grief. But the hard part, it didn't get better because he told them that his dad had killed himself. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. When did that happen? And he's like, a week ago. And then just out of sheer shock, they're like, why are you here?
He writes help in cursive on a piece of paper and slides it across the table, then looks at you and you're just grinning, but he can't read it because he's Gen Z.
It was so, but I think grief is one of those situations where it's like you can't tell somebody how to operate in it, like without being qualified, Oh man, but yeah, no, I didn't even think of that until you said it. That what a rough job to be the siblings of dead siblings with the parents wanting to basically turn you into those old siblings. That's hard.
That they're constantly just trying to kind of like like push them in certain directions. Like, I don't like dogs. I like pizza.
One of them tries to break the cycle and the other is leaning into it. Like they drive down the road and just to test how far this can go, she's like, I really like telephone poles. And the mom's like, nope, nah. Okay, really?
But you know what you do like? Turtlenecks.
And cowboy hats.
Pussy Riot.
I can't believe that's a band. That cannot be a band. Actually, I know it's a band, but
I feel like the Mormon community really isn't utilizing potentially suicidal people to the full extent.
I feel like sending potentially suicidal people to the front door of other people, you'd get better results by sending a jihadist.
No,
Who's
no,
literally
you're
gonna blow
wrong,
himself
and let me
up on the
tell you
front
why.
door.
You're just not utilizing them the way they could be utilized. Send them to the door with a pistol.
Oh my gosh. Why?
Now, they're not to use this pistol on the person they're knocking on the door. That would be illegal. But when the person opens the door, they have the pistol in their own mouth. And the other person goes,
Ultimatum?
we're here to talk to you about Mormonism. And if you don't convert, Brother Jed here is going to blow his fucking brains out.
Sounds like an HBO special. I'd watch the crap out of that. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Man.
Jed's like, I don't want to. Please, sir.
Just let us in. Just let us in. Just let us in.
Take
Just
the
let us in.
brochure.
Well, those dot dogs are eating.
He looks over your shoulder, and on your bicycle, there's a cart with bodies in it.
They're just feeding
Dead
me
Mormons.
missionaries. There's a U-Haul down the road where they just open the back and give me another one. You know, there's a lot of people that just agreed with this tactic. They're like, oh, shooting Mormons sounds good to me. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, you see them looking at the cart, and you're like, try to catch their. You like from a camera view, your face pops back in, and you're like, I know it looks bad, but every one of those guys converted 2 to 3 people before somebody said no.
And guess where they all are? Would you like to know where all those dead bodies' spirits are now? Let us in. Let me tell you about it. Oh, my goodness. No, I can't see us, leveraging in that way. Maybe, man, who's to say? Well, that was compelling. Thanks for bringing that heat today.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
No, I'll tell you what I believe. I'll tell you what I think. Nah, I can't tell you what I think. This is a wrong place for me to tell you what I think. But I'll say you can't destroy matter. It always exists. And that I think that's where I'll leave it.
I think I've said this before, but if reincarnation is a thing, I believe what happens is souls are reusable, like wash rags, right? You got a wash rag that you've used 1,000,000 times you've washed the sink and the bathtub or cleaned up some spilled milk or whatever, and then you throw it in the laundry. I think that's the way a soul works. And
clean it off
after somebody dies, whatever higher being takes that wash rag of a soul and throws it in the laundry, and it comes out with a clean slate. Then they throw it into another body, and maybe there's some remnants of that past mess on that rag from time to time, like a stain. And that's what these things that people like to say they remember past lives or whatever. I was a Civil War soldier, but well, I thought I was. Actually, I wasn't. I stole a uniform from a pawn shop and actually gave hand jobs to people that had military fetishes. But I was killed by a Greyhound bus. What that is that stain on that rag that didn't come out in the wash.
That's interesting. I like that. It's kind of poetic to think that, your
Soul is an old dirty
soul's
rag.
getting another chance. I like that. All right. Should I tell you what I brought?
Can I ask you
What
a
I
question
brung?
about reincarnation?
Yeah.
If reincarnation were real, then why do we have like 10 times the amount of people now than we had in like 1500?
Well, okay, if reincarnation were real, the reason we've got 10 times more people is because the old people keep coming back, but that we also are creating new people.
So new
Because in
souls
order
can be
to-
created in reincarnation that don't have the miles on them.
I was
So it's
going to
like-
say, yeah, because the whole the re part of that word is sort of like refried beans.
Right.
You got to start with beans.
Yeah.
So somebody's creating beans, and there's probably not a moratorium on creation.
Right.
So I would say the bean is started, and then it's refried into multiple tacos, comes out of multiple tacos, goes back in, comes out, goes back in and out, in and out.
So some of us are walking around with souls that have bleach stains on them and just, I don't know, just the work. They've just been clean. They've been in the wash 5 million times. And some of us are walking around brand new, like, what is that? Home and garden washcloth from Walmart. Just like still got the vibrant colors. The ends aren't frayed. The kind of wash towel you'd wipe your face with after brushing your teeth, and we've all got that washcloth that's got the bleach stains and everything. Like, I know it's just came out of the wash, but I think I won't get the toothpaste off the corner of my mouth with that, because I know at one point I put semen on it.
I will say one thing that I think might stuff the concept of reincarnation is that you would think that if we were reincarnated and some aspects or some meritable aspects of our previous lives come back with us, that we would avoid repeating history as much as we do as humans.
Yeah.
But we don't. We seem to be getting dumber on a cycle, on the regular cycle, on a very regular cycle of about 84 years. So there's that. I don't know.
What'd you bring today up?
Okay, I'll tell you. So, you know how we're always unearthing ancient skulls and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Did you know, though, that these prehistoric noggins that we're digging out of the ground, I would say anything that you dig out of the ground older than 500 years old, okay? Any skull that you pull out of the ground that's over 500 years old would put a modern orthodontist out of business. Not in business, out of business.
Why?
No braces, no retainers, not a wire in sight, but straighter teeth than a ruler. Wisdom teeth? They all had them. All neat and tidy, right there inside of the skull. Tops and bottom jaws. It's like they won the dental lottery while we're still stuck like on the waiting list. This is any skull that you unearth that's 500 years old or older. So what's the deal with this? Secret tooth fairies? So scientists, those folks with lab coats and a lot of curiosity, they've got an idea. So picture this, a couple million years back, our ancestors were living off the land. So there wasn't any fancy cooking appliances, just grit and a lot of grit in their food, you know. So their chompers were the original food processors. They ground and crushed all that grub down to a digestible pulp. And their teeth showed it. A lot of their teeth from these skulls, these, again, you can pick a part of the world, doesn't matter where, pull a skull out of the ground that's older than 500 years, could be 50,000 years old, could be 100,000 years old, anything older than 500 years. Yes, their teeth are going to be shown to be ground down flatter than a pancake from all that hard labor of chewing whatever they're chewing. But so at some point, these folks got smart and they started using tools. They discovered fire, and voila, cooking was born. Fast forward a few millennia, about 12,000 years ago, and they're farming and domesticating plants and animals, and they start refining their food. And so milling technology, whatever that is, helped them ditch the tough parts of grain like it was last season's fashion. And we started having flour. We started having milled grains. We started having easier things to chew and to digest. So whirl ahead into the Industrial Revolution, which took place 8 minutes ago, right? And things are really cooking, pun intended, because the demand for teeth to do heavy-duty grinding dropped faster than a bad habit. Guess what? Around this time, that crooked teeth started to get their spotlight. So you see, all this shifts in diet over millions of years. They're like a seesaw game with our jaws and teeth. They used to keep pace with each other. But the more recent culinary habits threw a wrench in all of that. So jaws started to shrink. As we got more refined in the way that we refine our food, our jaws have shrunken. But teeth, they all stay the same size. They're like a bunch of sardines trying to fit into a tiny can, pushing and shoving and ending up in all sorts of wacky positions. Wisdom teeth, the late bloomers of the mouth, just add to the chaos, often having nowhere to go now. So why does this matter? Well, when these poor wisdom teeth can't make a grand entrance, they often cause discomfort and infection and have to be yanked out. Like you've heard every dentist ever say, well, he's probably going to have his wisdom teeth out at some point. But the theory is our jaws got smaller as our food got less chewy. So that leads to overcrowded smiles, crooked teeth, and troublesome wisdom teeth. And get this. There's even some evidence to back this up. In a 1983 study, squirrel monkeys raised on soft food had more dental issues than those munching on tough stuff. So there was another study in 2004 that found that hyraxes, it's a cute little mammal, by the way, fed cooked food had less growth in their chew-related facial areas. It seems it's not just in genetics, but our environment and lifestyle that are to blame in this case. So today, up to 60% of people face some level of tooth crowding, but it's not a one-size-fits-all problem. Some folks never grow wisdom teeth. Others avoid tooth crowding or having wisdom teeth come in without a hitch. It seems like that the less processed diets might have actually the secret sauce to this thing. But that is crazy because when I think about it, if I think of old skulls, ancient people, prehistoric people, for some reason, I think bad dental, right? And you go back and you look and yes, those teeth are just filed down because they're eating just as much grit and dirt as they are meat or raw vegetables or something. But the teeth, even though they're well worn, are lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy how much I took when I was in college, I took a paleontology class. And like a huge portion of that class was about teeth. Because like teeth, especially in old scale, like really old skeletons, they tell more than anything else on the body.
Yeah.
Really. And I never thought teeth could be that fascinating, but that class really made the amount of things that you can tell about teeth is by looking at old skeletons and stuff like that is insane. But everything you're saying makes perfect sense. The jaw was adjusting to the new diet, but the teeth weren't. So the jaw's shrinking, the teeth are staying the same, and now we've got crowding. And also we've got these teeth now in the back that we don't even need anymore because we're not having to grind these these unprocessed grains with those tough back wisdom teeth anymore, so we're not using them, and they're just. So at what point will we evolve to where the wisdom teeth don't come in anymore? Actually, probably never, because of dental work. We've taken out the evolutionary aspect of getting rid of wisdom teeth naturally.
Yeah. I think if that were to happen, it would probably be millions of years down the road, sort of like birds are the progeny of dinosaurs. So if you look at a T-Rex, giant mouth, huge teeth, fast forward to birds, most likely no teeth and a beak. So it's like, as their diet, no, that's a bad example. No, it's not actually. Now that I think about it, I mean, the size of their food and the complexity of their food also shrunk. And so it seems to stand to reason. I mean, monkeys are probably a more apt example, but yeah, any way you look at it, I mean, it's crazy to think. Now that I think about it, like in my mind, I'm not going to Google image it right now, but if I think about the skulls from ancient times that I see in my mind, or those crazy things that they find, like the frozen girl in the Andes, or all of those types of unique things that we found now, teeth in amber or anything like that, like they're always straight. They may be worn down, but just right in line.
You know what this has got me thinking? Has our medical care and medical knowledge and technology gotten to a point where we have completely shut off any like physical evolutions of human beings? Because before, the reason we evolve as humans is it was survival of the fittest. So if people were were born naturally equipped with something that was beneficial for survival, those people were more prone to survive and then reproduce. That's how evolution happens over many, many, many generations. Traits that are favorable to surviving and reproduction become dominant and then get blanketed out through the entire race over many, 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 many generations. But because of technology and the fact that we don't live in the woods anymore with spears and stuff, anybody can fuck now. Everybody's out there fucking. Everybody's out there having babies. There's no such thing as having favorable traits, like from an evolutionary point of view, that make you more likely to reproduce. So have we, because of our technology and medical knowledge now, shut off human evolution?
Okay, so
does what I'm saying make sense?
Totally. And I would agree with that. I mean, I think we could check the boxes yes for each one of these things. So the things that make up evolution as a like, let's call it a cake, right? The ingredients that make up a situation where evolution happens are 5 things. First thing is always mutation. So it's sort of the lottery of the biology, but sometimes as cells divide and DNA is copied, errors occur.
Yeah, but those errors can also be beneficial in certain situations, making them more likely to find a partner and then reproduce and having a bunch of kids that also have those mutations that eventually, over a long enough period of time, are no longer mutations, but just common in whatever species we're talking about.
Which is takes us to the other end of the mutation spectrum. So if on the biological side you've got mutation, on the very far end of it you have a social aspect of that, which is sexual selection. So like, let's say you have a mutation that actually made you 2 feet taller than everybody else, but that your tribe sees that you can beat everybody up. Sexual selection says that you're probably going to find mates more aptly because you can protect them, right? So your gene, that weird glitch in your genes, now ends up becoming a fundamental part of your progeny moving forward. And then if you move back, natural selection, again, because your new mutation makes you more resilient to X, Y, or Z, you're going to live longer than the guy that's less than 2 feet shorter than you.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is none of that are factors anymore. Not anymore, because everybody's
Right.
out here, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Putting
We
it
don't
in
have
each other.
genetic. Yeah, we don't have genetic drift, which was another thing where it was like you see genetic traits kind of migrate as people migrate, you know? And then the last one would be literal migration or gene flow. So sort of like the traveling salesman of biology. But so if you take all those and you say, are any of those a factor anymore? The answer is no.
Yeah, so this might be the final form, which is depressing because I have tits. So, sorry, ancestors.
Well, no, I think you're right. In a
This is what you
in a
died
way,
for.
it's sort of like looking at British royalty. It's like if you don't add enough genetic diversity and you just keep remixing the same handful of royals, you get really weird stuff. But if you take that just a little bit bigger and say, okay, it's only these populations that mix with each other, yeah, you're going to end up getting some upside down kind of results.
I think we might be our final form. Like this, where we're at as people, this is our final form.
What's weird is if you think about it this way, this is our final form, but what would you say? Like
look,
it's funny
look at
to
Donald
think
Trump,
this,
who's with Melania, right? She's a 10. And Donald Trump is him.
yeah.
Like in like the year 800, Trump would have been killed as a 16-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And the person having babies with Melania would have been 6'3" and would have been a prized hunter. That like she would have only been fucking the pinnacle of other males, and not somebody with cotton candy for hair.
Or Bill Gates. Photos of Bill Gates all sound like this. Ow. Ow.
Yeah, he always looks like he's got a corn on his foot.
Yeah, like he's getting bullied in the photo. Ow. Ow. Stop it. Oh, stop it. But yet, that's the genetic pool that we're... So there's trade-offs. I'm sure, the genetic results of Bill Gates plus somebody is going to end up with a more intelligent being than if you take the operator and somebody. But yeah, you're going to get trade-offs like tits.
Shout out to my ancestors.
It's weird. It's weird. But what's funny is it's like saying it's the final form does not necessarily define it as the best form. Like, here's what's weird. Let's just say something like reincarnation exists, but let's call it resurrection. Let's say, what if resurrection exists, okay? You die and you come back. But you come back as the... Okay, but no. But let's say it's the spiritual resurrection because, okay, so if you were to die and come back, but you were to come back in a perfected version of yourself, would you weigh what you weigh right now?
So ask me the question again.
So if you were...
I was reading Jeff's comment about boob tape.
If you were to be resurrected into a perfected version of your own body and mind and everything, would you be the weight you are right now?
No, I would be the 22-year-old version of myself.
Yeah, right. So it's weird to think that the evolution of where we're
also
at
had
is
boobs,
not necessarily...
but they were solid.
Yeah. So we're not the apex of even our own, human form. So that's kind of weird.
It's just interesting because I think that if you fast forward, if we survive another 1,000 years, if you fast forward 1,000 years, I don't think we look a lot different than we do today.
I think we might look more, definitely, I think we'll continue to soften if that's even possible. Or, kind of wonder, I wonder if we're in another one of those, the evolution where we're going back into hard times mode, which will kind of, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Anyway, that's what I brought on this maiden voyage of season 5 Neverdaily podcast. I thought that we would start ending it a little more organized than we ever have before by saying 1159's got a lot of stuff out there. So if you want to check out more of our stuff, make sure you're going to 1159plus.com to see how many shows we have in the hopper, behind the paywall, out for free. You might be surprised. You might find something else you like.
Feliz Navidad.
Help us make problems in the world. Does that work? Help us
make problems in the world.
We are. Yeah, help us make problems.
That does not sound. I don't know anybody that wants to get behind that.
Help us make some problems.
Help me become a problem.
That sounds good
is
too.
Way better than going, help us make problems in the world.
You know what? We both have our own marketing tactics.
And I worked at a Hardee's.
You know what? Let's just see, because you said, help me become a problem.
Yeah.
And it really resonated with people, and they went out and they got the boots on the ground and they did some stuff. You know what? Help us make problems in the world, people. Now, let's see what they do with that. Let's see what they do.
I guess
I'm
that is
excited
kind
to
of
see
what's going on. There's not enough problems. People are worried about stupid shit. That's a good point. Help us make some problems.
Help us make
get
some
back
problems.
to some real problems.
Yeah. Like
war in our backyard.
That sounds like a bad night after a gay bar.
Or a kick-ass metal band.
Or both.
That being said, this episode is brought to you by Pussy Riot.
Find their latest CD wherever you buy CDs. Hugs, everybody.